This video is going to talk about some stem changing verbs. And it's basically just going to cover sort of the idea behind stem changing verbs. It's not going to go into a whole lot of detail about the different types and whatnot, because that would be a really boring video, and those are pretty easy to learn just by practicing and sort of reading about it. So, thus far, you've probably worked with regular verbs, which, as you know, have conjugation endings. And the way those work is you have your infinitive verb, and you drop the infinitive, and you're left with the stem, to which you add your conjugation ending. The way stem-changing verbs work is when they're conjugated, part of the stem changes, hence stem changing. But the nice thing about stem-changing verbs is that the stem changes in a predictable and constant way. So unlike conjugation endings, which are different for every subject, the stem change is the same for all the conjugations. Let's go through an example so that makes a little bit more sense. We'll start with a pretty easy one, which is pedir, meaning to ask for. And this is an E to I stem changing verb. There are different types, this is one of them. And what that means is that when pedir is conjugated, in all of the forms except nosotros and vosotros, the E will change to an I. Now that is true for all stem changing verbs. The nosotros and vosotros forms do not change, they keep the E in the conjugated form. So let's go through these conjugations. We'll just write down our subject pronouns quickly. And ellos, ellas, ustedes. So the conjugations will be as follows. It's pretty much like conjugating a regular verb. You're going to drop your infinitive ending. The only difference will be that you will also change that one letter in the stem. So our new stem is going to be PID instead of PED, and then our endings are exactly the same as they would be for a normal IR verb. So yo pido, tú, we have our stem and our ending, pides, él, ella, usted, pide, nosotros, nosotras. Remember, for this one the stem will not change, so we keep PED, and then imos would be our ending, so pedimos. And ellos, ellas, ustedes, this again has the stem change, piden. So, pido, pides, pide, pedimos, piden. We will go through another quick example with a different type of stem changing verb now. Our next example will be jugar, which is one of a few verbs that have the U to UE stem change. So what this means, predictably, is that this U will become a UE in the conjugated forms of the verb. So again, we have our subject pronouns. Ellos, ellas, ustedes. And our conjugations are as follows. So the U changes to a UE, but the endings are the same. Yo juego. Oh, I'm sorry, this verb means to play as well. So I play, yo juego. Tú, stem with the stem change, and the normal ending, juegas. Él, ella, usted, stem change, normal ending, juega. Él, ella, usted juega. He, she, or you plays. Nosotros, nosotras, this one does not have the stem change, so we keep it as normal and add our ending, jugamos, we play. And ellos, ellas, ustedes, stem change again, and normal ending, juegan. They or you plural play. So now that you have a basic understanding of how stem changing verbs work, I'm going to go through the broad categories of stem changing verbs and give you a few examples in each without conjugating all of them, because that would take forever and be really boring. But these are the common categories that you will see pretty frequently. There are some others that are used very, very rarely, which I won't go through for risk of confusing you. So the first category, and one of the most common, is E to IE. And some common verbs in this category include querer, which means to want, cerrar, which means to close, entender, to understand, empezar, to begin, and comenzar, also to begin. Next we have E to I, which we've already worked with, which we saw with pedir, and also with repetir, to repeat. We have O to UE, poder, to be able to, and dormir, to sleep. And U to UE, this one is not a common category, but the verb in it, jugar, is used very frequently, so touch on it briefly. Now there are others. There is I to IE, but you'll hardly ever see that, so I won't go through it.